just noticed that my URL doesn't fit on my name there.
Hello, and welcome to the SEO Mastery Summit Day 7 live. And as always, huge thanks to our fantastic sponsors, ODYS, BuzzLogic, Investors Club, and IMG Courses. We also have another bunch of amazing smaller sponsors, and you can see them all at SEOmasterysummit.com. So, Craig and Steve, thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. There's only 147 questions left, so we'll see how many we can manage today. We made the genius idea of asking everyone questions when they joined in with the summit. So we have a huge list of questions. So that's great. Right, let's start with a controversial one. SEMRush or AHREFS? What is better in SEMRush and what is better in AHREFS?
Well, I know Craig uses the affiliate code for SEMRush, so I don't know if his answer is going to be different than mine. I tried it. I'm honestly like a bigger AHREFS user. I really like competitive analysis through them. That's kind of my first go-to. But nothing against SEMRush. But I'm more of an AHREFS user. And they just updated their keyword database, which is huge, which I think was a little bit of a gap for a while, but I was glad to see that.
Much needed, let's say that way.
Yeah.
Steve's right. I'm going to side with SEMRush, not purely not because I do affiliate through them. I think they're both great tools. In all honesty, I think to be honest, it's more down to habit than anything else. If you become accustomed to the way the dashboard in SEMRush looks, then you get used to it the same way that Steve probably just likes AHREFS. He's been used to it, and I think a lot of people are like that. And primarily the reason that I stuck with SEMRush before was, several years ago, SEMRush was better at keyword research, and AHREFS was more focused on the backlink analysis side of things. And it was just one of those things that I felt I've always had both of them, to be honest. But I just think the interface and the way I was reporting to clients at the time and stuff like that was just, screenshots from SEMRush, and it was easier to export that stuff. But both great tools, but SEMRush are my preferred choice, probably just because of habit more than anything else.
And it makes sense, right? Because, as we all know, these tools take a while to get started with, right? And it takes a little while to figure them out and so on. So that makes total sense. Do you know by any chance, Craig, any particular areas where you feel SEMRush is better today than AHREFS or vice versa?
For me personally, I think, SEMRush have 40 plus tools that a lot of people don't utilize. For example, people talk about Cora and POP. Now, they are individually really good tools, but SEMRush has got the SEO content template, which does a similar thing. It gives you keyword volume and stuff like that. And I also think the auditing tool on SEMRush is a lot better than AHREFS. Purely, it looks better. You can export the problems, give them over to other workers. For me, that whole process, if you're going to find out some 404 pages, for example, audit your website and just export it and shove it over to your people. Now, you're probably going to tell me that AHREFS have caught up and they probably get quite a cool auditing tool now as well. But when you become used to auditing websites, then my go-to tools are like SEMRush for auditing, and I'll run it through Screaming Frog just as a comparison. But as I say, I do have both tools,
sure.
And I just think that SEMRush for auditing and various other little tools there as well that are there that I don't believe that AHREFS have. So,
okay,
yeah,
cool. So there's a similar one here. What's the best keyword rank tracker out there nowadays?
Well, for me, this is my turn to be more partial to Keywordcom. I think they do a fantastic job. I'm actually working with Kevin and his team right now on sort of upgrading the product to meet sort of different needs. So it's really exciting, actually. I've now had a few meetings with them, with their UX team, and we're looking at some sort of MVPs right now. Just bringing in some really, really cool features beyond just, a table and tracking all your keywords, but more useful stuff that gives you like a bigger picture, especially when you're tracking a lot of keywords for a site, for larger sites. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where that goes. But yeah, I've used others in the past, but right now I'm all about Keyword.com.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I kind of went to a period where I had 1 or 2 favorites, and then I went to a period of they're all shit, and then I went to a period of now they're kind of all the same. They're kind of, there's a whole bunch of half decent ones, but I don't have one that just stand out on me. But I haven't tried Keyword.com, so that might be one worth giving a go.
Like the AHREFS, like it technically has rank tracking, but I don't even really consider it much of a rank tracker. I just never use it for that purpose. So for me, AHREFS is all about me, getting a new client and developing a strategy based on my competitor research, and that's the bulk of what I do with AHREFS. I don't use I really don't use the audit tool that much. I don't use the rank tracker. So everyone just has their own favorite things out of all these things, I think. And and the stuff we're doing with Keyword.com is going to sort of, I don't want to make any promises, but it'll go in more of a direction of giving you like a really awesome bird's eye view of who your real competition is in the SERP, beyond just one SERP, but like a whole cluster of keywords. And give you some good action items to take out of that.
Nice.
I think it also depends on what you're looking for as well, in terms of what you're tracking. For me, things like AccuRank are probably better on a more local level. And some of the old faithfuls out with SEMRush and AHREFS, Pro Rank Tracker, SERPRobot are also reasonably good tools, but again, how much do you actually take them for being accurate? Sometimes they're wildly inaccurate. So I think you need to, if you want to do local stuff, you need to find someone who has that database that digs deep into the data. And for the likes of AHREFS and SEMRush, they're not going to dig into every local level in every country, and it's just unrealistic to think you're going to get that for, $200 a month or whatever it costs. So again, you need to be realistic with yourself. You can only do so much with the data they've got.
I think the other thing is, like, historically rank trackers have been a bit of a commodity. You've got the data, you can export the data, everything will look the same on an Excel sheet when you really at the end of the day look at it. So I think the rank trackers that are trying to do a little bit more and give you some more actionable stuff, and also splice the data a little bit differently, are the ones that are going to sort of pull ahead in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and that's what I've always missed a little bit. I mean, I actually use the Ahrefs one quite a bit, and it's just, again, like, I don't actually sit and watch increases so much. What I really like it for is, when you have keywords that drops a bit, and being able to see the historical for those keywords. That's probably where I use it the most. But yeah, that makes sense. Right, the next question. Can you rank affiliate site on a specific location, like a local SEO site, and gain benefit from it? I got an outdoor affiliate site and wondering if making some locations on Google Maps would help me generate traffic.
It's pretty much like rank and rent, I think. Why not, right? If you, as long as like the person doesn't expect to visit a location, if it's more of a service area type of page, then definitely.
Yeah, I think GMBs, there's a frightening amount of traffic to be had from that, and obviously just organically, local pages. So that would be a quick, easy win, in all honesty. Grab as much of it as you possibly can, and go after the rest later. The kind of more generic search keywords. But yeah, if people are searching locally for the stuff that you're doing, take advantage.
And I think like guys like Matt Diggity will also say that a verified GMB is going to sort of up your trust level with Google as well. So if you can get a few of those going, then why not?
Yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense. Right, this one might be a quick one. So, YouTube, what's the high-level ranking steps? As example, keyword research, title, description, CTR. So basically, I think he means like what's the high-level process for ranking in YouTube. So, how do you do the keyword research? How do you pick a title, and what do you put in description?
For me, the keyword research, obviously AHREFS have got, under their keyword explorer, you can do YouTube research. How accurate that is, I'm not sure. But what I would tend to do is if something's well searched for in Google, the chances of that being well searched for in YouTube are pretty high. So I wouldn't be obsessed with it has to be YouTube, checking the data for YouTube. Obviously, keywords are important. So, if you're going to Google Black Hat SEO organically, to look at a blog post, then you're probably going to go in and search for Black Hat SEO on YouTube. And the title and stuff like that I think the title is the most important part. Secondly, I think the biggest thing that I found with YouTube is the engagement is really what secures the ranking for you. And it's the same with certain social media platforms. Something's been liked and it's been shared, and people are interacting and commenting and watching it, and obviously the view time is also important on a video. So obviously if you're going to send bots to it and they're all going to bounce off after 10 seconds, you're not going to rank that well. But for me the title and obviously the tagging, I use vidIQ to grab tags from other similar videos and stuff like that. So you use that, but people have got different perceptions of what works. I've heard Holly Stark saying she only adds 5 tags. I've heard someone else say they only add 7. But you've got the ability to add 500 characters. And for me, I've done a lot of testing, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't try and pad that out as much as you possibly can. But those engagement signals on YouTube really are what works well. So the CTR side of it, whether you get micro workers, whether you share it with your social audience, whether you drive traffic through push notifications, email subscriptions, or boosting Facebook posts, any of that stuff is really what's going to take your video up there. And then hopefully organically people start to watch it a lot more, and from there it should retain its position there or thereabouts. And I think that's why the likes of Neil Patel and Brian Dean always dominate the YouTube searches for a lot of stuff, because when they pump a video out to their 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers or whatever they've got, they instantly watch time, bang, 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 bang. And that's why these guys are pretty much unshakable at the top there until I finally get myself up there, or that's the plan.
Yeah, so, all the engagement stuff that Craig's talking about is what separates the average YouTube video from just being posted to the ones that eventually rise up. And if you don't have that audience and you don't have the money necessarily to do Facebook posts, there are ways around that. You can just kind of look into it. But at the end of the day, like if you want to just want to produce a quality video, right? Like if there are real users out there watching your stuff compared to other people, then they're going to watch your video for longer if you're producing better content. Of course, there's going to be artificial ways to increase signals, but don't put yourself at a disadvantage by only focusing on that end and not focusing on the quality of your content.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So one question for me actually around this. So some people said if you do long videos, you're at a disadvantage in YouTube because if you have a 1-minute video, it's more likely people watch the whole thing. Whereas if you do a 50-minute video, people will more likely not to watch end to end. Any sort of data on that, Craig?
I mean, obviously for longer videos, some people, I think the average, and this is not just in my channel, I think it's across the board, the average watch time is anything between 4 and 7 minutes on a video. Most people have the attention span of a goldfish, so that's why it's really important, especially when you're doing tutorials that they're just done short, sharp and concise. So many people pad it all out, make it 20 minutes long, and 14 minutes of it are the guy, you know, bragging about how good he is or whatever. If I'm, you know, it's like me. So I, you know, if I want, you know, if I build something like a flat pack, I go to IKEA and I buy some kind of flat pack thing and I've lost the instructions or I want to look at it, I'll just go to a video, and if there's a guy talking shit and all that, I'm just like, fuck, can you not just show me how to screw this shit together? And so I think short, sharp, concise videos do get better retention. However, I do also, you know, I do over-the-shoulder video tutorials all the time, and they do reasonably well, and I try and keep them, you know, probably 5 minutes or thereabouts. I have tried the very, very short things, 1 minute, and I don't really see any kind of better impact of doing a short video than something at 5 minutes. And I've also done a lot of live shows. You know, I do podcasts that last anything between half an hour and an hour, and I also do 2 weekly shows that take a full hour, and all of them are engaged, but it really comes down to your audience or your community. People really like the hour-long question and answer sessions that I do with a guy called Chris Palmer on a Wednesday, and I also have Mike Pierce and Brad Maybury on a Tuesday, and people really are super engaged with that and watch it, the whole lot of it, and as a result, also get good watch time and stuff. But I would say between the, you know, the 1 minute videos and the 5 minute videos, I've not really seen any kind of major benefits, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say just to add quickly to that is, like, you know, realize that people are evaluating which video to click, and you don't want to be like wildly off like from the existing videos that are ranking. So if someone's got a tutorial for some Photoshop thing, don't make it like a minute if somebody's got like theirs at seven minutes, right? So try and fit into what's already there, and we'll sort of put you in the same league as well.
Well, great point. Hadn't thought of that, but yeah, always look at the SERPs and see what's happening. Okay, so next one. In my niche, I've found a lot of best posts. Can I rank a website with solely best posts? So I guess it's like best lawnmower, best whatever. Can you rank a site with solely best posts?
You probably wouldn't want to. You'd probably want to mix that shit up. You know, the top, the best, this, that, and the next thing. I mean, you look at someone like Lisa Graves, a lot of hers are the best this, the best that. And there's nothing at all wrong with that, with affiliate marketing. But what I would say is, you know, there's other choices of keywords out there. So do try and mix it up. The best sometimes works for certain keywords, better than others. Some people Google top. And variations of it. I would always try and say mix things up so that you don't look like a dirty. And I'm not saying you will be penalised for spam. I don't know anyone that's been penalised for, you know, the best. But I would be staying clear of it, because you're just going to look like a maniac. To be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, you probably want individual reviews of the products that you're including in that best list. So don't just spend all your time like going super wide. Like, people are going to want a review on, you know, a certain thing. So, you know, in your best list, then link to your own content about that thing if the person wants to read more.
Yeah.
Cool. Makes sense. When ranking a new keyword, what's the best way to get it moving quickly? That's, yeah.
I can suggest something. So like, there's a lot of people who say the sandbox doesn't exist, and in my experience, it does. So getting some type of traffic over to that page is going to be really important. And there's actually a really good tip offered by a guy named Israel Gaudet. He's sort of an affiliate marketer. He does fairly well. He's on Facebook and in the groups and whatnot. And what he does is just buys a Reddit ad for the related niche to what he's to basically find a subreddit related to the product that he wants to get out of the sandbox. And if Google sees logged in Chrome users and all that kind of stuff eventually visiting a page or coming from social media or whatever, like it starts to realize that although there may not be like backlinks at the very beginning, that this page is now surfaced on the internet and people are sharing it and there's some type of value there. And then obviously, like if you build out like profiles and stuff and link to this page, then those backlinks are going to help that page get discovered. But I mean, you have to be patient. You can't expect it to just bounce to like page 3 out of nowhere.
Yeah, I like that, and I definitely totally agree. I mean, traffic is definitely very, very important, and particularly the sandbox, and also like new post. If you go into a new content area, then it's also very important, right? Like if you're already ranking for a cluster and you add another article to it, you're usually okay, right? But if you're starting a brand new cluster or something, definitely the ads works really well. So, Lisa, do you have to use big affiliate companies? Can you approach individual companies? And if yes, how do you track and confirm commission/agree payments?
I mean, I think, obviously there's massive affiliate places out there, like, affiliate networks and stuff like that are big, but most people with any ounce of sense, with any kind of credible business, probably will have an affiliate program of some description. A lot smaller companies, you normally find them in the footer of their websites. But, if they don't, then it's something they can easily implement as well. There's guys out there chucking out courses and using, little platforms, and what they do is use affiliates to sell those courses, get people to pump it out through their mailing lists or their social media to make money. And it's the same with any business. If you want your products to be sold, then using a whole bunch of affiliates is a very credible option. And I think companies of all different sizes definitely do offer affiliate, and I think that will only continue to grow. So I would always be, personally, I wouldn't go to a network. I would try and work with people direct, like your SEMRushes or tool providers or ODYS or any of these kind of guys that are out there, will all have some form of affiliate deals. And normally, even for myself, when I'm doing blogging, I get all sorts of tool providers and smaller people trying to, bring a tool to market, approaching me saying, hey, Craig, like, I'd love to be on your blog or on your podcast. I want to promote my new tool. I can give you 30%. So these guys are actively looking for people like you who can drive traffic. So certainly reach out to people, individual companies and stuff. And sometimes you'll find that the commission rates are a lot better than you would going through some of these big affiliate networks.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would say I've used one called Affiliately, and I think that's like $16 a month or something. So it's definitely not very expensive, but it connects in with most common platforms. Unless it's a custom site, it basically connects super easy. So we've really used that to, basically that helps track. It helps make sure all the numbers are good. And here's the thing. You might actually be helping a small company. So obviously, a lot of bigger companies have affiliate programs. Smaller companies often don't know about it. And I've got a couple of friends that basically what they do is they get the company set up, and a few times they actually end up as some kind of affiliate manager for the business. So basically, they're like, these companies don't know about affiliates. Suddenly you start with them, and you can actually end up scoring commissions or actually setting yourself up to help push this company in your niche, right? And make some money from that as well. So there definitely know people doing that. So obviously when you're in a tool space and SEO, that's quite different. But I think a lot of people who work with physical products, there is lots of small companies who would love to pay a much higher commission just to get in the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised which companies offer them. I mean, FreshBooks has a huge affiliate program. Not too many people would think about that, but there's a lot of people doing really well, including myself for a little while. Had a site with FreshBooks as an affiliate.
Cool. There's one from Mike. I saw a platform that sells link placement, where it has a link inventory where I can pay a monthly fee for the placement. Do you guys try buying these backlinks?
I don't buy them off a list personally. I think once you have an open list like that, it makes you vulnerable. So any backlinks that I purchase, I'm always vetting them before any outreach, or really, my link. I work with a link builder, and he gives me choice of what I approve or don't approve, and it's never a matter of like, here's a big spreadsheet. It's like, no, I'm in this niche, go after this, and I'll approve those. So I wouldn't.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't be wanting to pay for a monthly fee for a placement either. I think there's that many other opportunities just for a one-off fee. I'm not a fan of the monthly fee for a placement, and then when you stop paying, your links taken down. Normally, guest posts, niche edits, and everything else that you get out there, the links usually stick around, and any other kind of PR, stuff appearing in people's webinars and every other type of link that you can potentially get, again, normally stick around. So I'm not a fan of that option. I don't see it as an attractive option for me as to why I would buy a link from those kind of places. But if push came to shove and I really wanted to get in the game and that was all that was available in that particular niche, then I'd probably have to suck it up and accept it. But I think, depending on where you are and what options you've got available to you, in general, there's better options than this kind of garbage in most cases.
Yeah, I would say we bought a couple of places where I remember particularly one site where they'd done some placements for PBNs through Rank Club, the old Diggity links. And obviously they would boost up the sites and then they would sell them off and then they would cancel the link subscriptions. So obviously you would have the link echo there for a little while, but yeah, buying sites where suddenly half the links disappears is definitely not nice. Right. What's the best way to merge content when you have a big site and some posts that could work on one to make one big post? Merge and 301. Yeah, I think that's the answer.
I mean, you've answered it yourself, really. If you want to merge something, obviously take down the weakest one, merge it onto the most powerful one, and then 301 redirect the weakest one to the one that you want to use. What you need to do is don't make these decisions willy-nilly, though. What is making you decide to merge these? You look at clusters and stuff like that and how Google sees different keywords and different sets of keywords and supporting content and everything else. So what are you doing to identify whether this should go as one big post or should these be segregated out as, individual, one big post with individual content round about it, depending on what you're merging. So I think you have to look at tools like Keywordcom and stuff like that, which will help you understand how Google identifies those before merging. Because if it sees it as a separate thing, then I wouldn't be merging it. So, what is the rationale behind that decision? If it's both the same thing and, there's potential for cannibalization, of course, merge it into one post. One big post, structured out properly with the right header tags and everything else can really, be the difference. You're going to avoid cannibalization, but really make a monster article that ranks for thousands of keywords. That's essentially, what you want to do. But what researchers get into that is what I'd be asking, because it's all easy as saying, yeah, just merge and do a 301. But what's making you think about that? That is the important step. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I'd say maybe go into Search Console just to verify and compare those two pages and see where they're ranking for those keywords. If it's super close and you feel like, you know, one is fighting with the other, then like do what Craig said, is take the weaker one and merge it. But sometimes it's not bad to have two results in the same SERP, which, I mean, Google came out and said that, oh, we're going to stop doing that, but I mean, I haven't seen it.
Still happens a lot. Still happens a lot. Well, so one thing I would say, sometimes when I see people merge content, they basically take 3 articles that are ranking for nothing and gets nothing, and then merge them together. And usually it just becomes big nothing instead. So no, but sometimes, you know, when people have a lot of content on a page and they're realizing some of it doesn't rank, and they think merging it basically makes it rank because it's a big article. Like, I would say you definitely, like, just merging a bunch of content that isn't ranking is generally not gonna help you out a lot, right?
Yeah. Maybe the better approach, if that's your end goal, is to take that best performing piece of content and look at the other pages on the SERP, lift all their headings. You can do that with SEO Minion. There's a spreadsheet that does that. There's, you know, a bunch of tools that'll do that too, like Phrase, or there's this one called Use Topic. And basically what you want to do is incorporate all those other headings into your post, and you will just see it rise. Like, it just happens. I've got like a couple really good case studies where I took like 2 different blogs on the same day. I applied this same technique, and both of them just like doubled in traffic. So I was able to show that it wasn't a fluke.
That's where I think is really important, as you say, Steve, is, you know, you have to use these tools to you know, Phrase or whatever your tools are going to be, to identify, you know, those kind of subheadings or whatever. And there's got to be, you know, a reason, a purpose to what you're doing, rather than just merging shit for the sheer hell of merging it. You know, you know you've had success with it, but I think Lisa, you know, may have read somewhere that might be a good thing, and she's doing it without any of the underlying theory. I might be wrong with that, Lisa, but I have met Lisa several times, and she's probably seen someone saying it, but doesn't understand the rationale behind it completely. So
cool. Thank you for the answer. Where do you get the guest post? I mean, do you email the website on and ask them? So I would say, first of all, we've had a couple of great speakers on this topic specifically. So we've had Dan Ray talking about how to do it in-house. We've had Bibi definitely talking a lot about guest posts and how to get those, but also lots of other good link talks. So that's definitely one place to look. But guys, where do you buy your links?
I work with a specific link builder, so I give him direction on what pages I want. You know, I'll provide anchors. I'll suggest topics for some of these sites. Sometimes I just do it myself. So if I'm working with a site with a high DR and good metrics, I'll just take a screenshot, like who's in this niche wants to do a trade or wants to do a 3-way exchange. And it's actually just the best links actually just come through networking more than just going to a site and saying, can I buy this, right? Like, you'd be surprised in the types of links you can get just by like actually, you know, knowing other people, knowing people like BB or you know, or Dan or other people in the industry who do this a lot, and just showing them what you have and letting them see like what they could offer in return.
Yeah, and also what I really like, a lot of SEOs that are big in certain niches, they will often have multiple assets in the same niche where you can go and do a 3-way or even a more way if you both have a bunch of assets in the same niche, right? So that's definitely a good option.
We have like one site that's sort of more general that could accept a lot of different things and use that for your 3-way exchange.
Yeah.
I think what Steve said as well is networking. You know, obviously you can use, for me, the likes of Get Me Links. You've got SERPninja.io. You've got even PR links from the likes of Nix Lee or Randy Rodet on Legit. They've got some good PR stuff there. But there's also so many guys I know that only really have like finance links, and that's where it's important to network and understand other people who work in very specific niches, because you're not going to, you don't want to be going to kind of get me links and just buying guest posts from that one vendor. You want to try multiple vendors out, and obviously if there's a guy that has a whole network of shit in the niche that you operate in, then it's also wise to go to them and get some stuff as well. So, roaming around in groups and jumping on calls with people, or when networking events come back, I think that is where I think it's really important to network with other people and just don't be lazy. Just take the time to get to know people in the industry.
Yeah, get to know somebody at an agency, because they've likely got, 30, 40, 50, who knows how many clients that they'd be happy to do an exchange with you. So one person could potentially, be months of link building right there.
Yeah.
That's one of the secrets that I've been using quite a bit. So I know a few guys that actually one guy we tried to hire at one point from an agency, and we built up a good relationship with the guy, and we ended up doing lots and lots of link exchanges with him. So that's love that one as well.
Even get them on the payroll, just drop them some cash at the end of every month.
Yep. Lots of tricks and tips and tricks. And one of my favorite ways, buy companies or buy domains, so whatever you want. But particularly like buying out competitors and the likes, merging sites, or even keeping multiple sites. When I like looking at a niche, I like looking at getting several assets, right? Like just having one site in a niche is definitely limiting. And one of the things that I would love to do is when I see something works really well, or when I have a keyword that I rank for super easy on one site, I would typically have 2 or 3 sites in the same niche, and I would often test the other sites on that same keyword, because if site number 1 ranks super easy, site number 2 and 3 might rank super easy as well. And yeah, if you get a first, second, third, or second, third, fourth spot or whatever, that there's money in it all. And if it's super easy to rank, that works well. So, but I really like buying up competitors and even 3 or 1 in them, or keeping them separate, but having them as a huge, great linkable asset, right?
Yeah, and if you have multiple sites in the same niche, then you can always use your second and third site to do the tests for what you're planning to do, and buy the links on there to see if you think they provided value for that page. So it's almost like you've got guaranteed at the end of the day with your money site.
Yeah, and I really like them as well for doing swaps, right? Because when you have multiple sites in the same niche that you're building up at the same time, it's just so much easier to swap links, right? So that's it's a bigger one. So I hope that helps you, Mike. And just checking if there's any more live questions. What's the most common quick wins on existing content? So I think you might have touched on that one already, Steve, but so if you have a bunch of existing content, what are the most common or sort of easiest quick wins?
Yeah, I'll quickly summarize it again. Take your top page there, look at the other pages in the SERP, grab the headings for those pages, and what you're really grabbing are the topics that you're not covering in your post. Cover those topics, 200 words a piece, put it back into your blog, watch it go. Like, it just works. So it's a super quick win. Your existing post should already have some traction to begin with. But yeah, just adding those topics and filling out that sort of holistically, like that topical relevance, just really drives them up.
Can you ever make your post too big? Like if you keep doing this trick again and again and again, and suddenly you go from 2,000 to 5,000 words, is that ever an issue?
I've never seen.
I haven't done it that extensively. Maybe Craig can.
I mean, I've analysed things like this all the time. Now, go and look at some of Matthew Woodward's or Neil Patel's blog posts, the ones that rank for 6,000 and 7,000 keywords. Some of these articles are actually 14,000 words long. So is there an upper scale? I don't see you being penalised for it. Is it going to be a long-winded read? Of course it is. But even for a search term like what is SEO, Neil Patel's got an article there that ranks for 7,000 keywords, and he's basically just got everything in there. Like Steve says, all of the kind of subheaders and all, everything relating to SEO, what is on page versus off page, blah, 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 blah. Everything about SEO is on that article, and he ranks, I think he ranks number 1 for it or thereabouts. But what I also would say, to back up what Steve's saying is, I think a lot of people are obsessed with blog volume or article volume. They're always looking to add another 100 blog posts or whatever it might be. Why not better the shit that's on your website and take it from, some of your pages may rank for 10 keywords, do what Steve says and make it rank for 110 keywords. People are not doing that properly. People are not doing proper on-page SEO. People are sloppy when it comes to their initial content writing. They're simply just saying to someone, go write 5 or 1,000 words or whatever it might be on this topic, and they don't give a shit. They post it and they don't look at it again. Add videos, add those subheadings, better what you've already got, and squeeze as much out of that as you possibly can, rather than having this stupid goal in your head of adding 10 new blog posts a month. Why not add 7 and go and squeeze the shit out of another 3 existing ones and totally scale them up? I think that's the right approach to have.
So if you do that, and then also like most affiliates and people I see who know what they're doing always have like a table of contents with jump links, and it's important to realize a couple things about those. So actually having your jump links in the form of a question can get that pulled into the meta description of a search and on the SERP. So that's extremely important. And then what I've also seen recently is those jump links being used as the smaller site links on a SERP. So what I would say is have some jump links where it's like the actual search query, so it's a little bit longer, and then have a couple of other jump links in your table of contents that are shorter and can fit within those site links.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that as well. But yeah, I really love it. And the key thing here, it's not about the words, right? It's about actually having useful content. Because again, if people sitting reading through 2,000, 3,000 words of crap, right? Like that's not it. But if you actually make it, like again, if you have a specific question and you answer it directly, you're more likely to win snippets and all that. And yeah, I think that's great. Okay, fantastic one. Fantastic week. Playing catch up, but pick up some real nuggets of information and tips. What's been your favorite tips from this week? Well, so I'm probably the only person that I've seen every single speech because I've done all the interviews. So in terms of nuggets, I'll actually say some of my favorites. I think Stacy's talk on link building and how she was doing it definitely gave me a lot of great ideas. So I loved how she was thinking about doing the outreach, and she was doing a lot of HARO, and she was basically looking at a lot of these type of sources and really building up a solid process and system about how to get those links. So that was definitely a great one. I think also, again, I always like hearing different people's opinion on page, and I think both Kyle and Michael Suski's speeches on the on page and siloing and how to make sure you get the most value out of your on page definitely have been very good. Any in particular from any of you guys that have been fantastic?
I mean, I've really enjoyed my own tips, and
have you learned a lot from those, Craig?
I have also enjoyed Craig's tips. I mean, Craig, that guy, man, wow.
I think, to be honest, I've not really watched many of the talks. I've just been really busy this week, so I wouldn't be best placed to advise. But I certainly know of people, and I've not met every person. I've never met Steve Toth in person, but I think overall, what you've got at this conference is a wide range of top speakers, and having seen snippets of what a lot of these guys have said in the past, I don't really think you've had a bad speaker at all, Mads. to be honest. And I know the job is not to have a bad speaker, but as I say, I've not seen the everything. But I think all of the people you've got there, I would be flabbergasted if they all didn't give away something to, to every single person out there.
Yeah, I echo the same thing. I've caught a few of the live feeds, but not a full session. But anybody who doesn't know Stacy McNaught, she's amazing. She spoke at SEO Chiang Mai 2019. And she's just got some really cool kind of next level approaches to link building. So yeah, go check her out for sure.
And I'll say a couple of other ones very specific. So Brendan Tully speaking about site speed. I think that was definitely an eye-opener for a lot of people, because a lot of time they just look at like GG metric or some of these speed things. And I love the way Brendan went through the site speed optimization. And yeah, Jared always talking about like automation and really how to automate a lot of steps or a lot of the tasks, which I think is definitely valuable for a lot of people as well. And then I'd say the last shout out I think would probably be to Kevin Meng. So Kevin is relatively new in the scene, but I've been talking with him quite a bit lately, and he's done a course specifically on SEO copyright, affiliate copywriting, I think he calls it. And I've given that to my writers, and that have really helped, right? Like really making sure it's not just these 3,000 words of content, but actually really go through like how do you hit the emotions, how do you make sure stuff sells. And obviously it's relevant to regular copywriting, but I think that like what he shares in his presentation is definitely gold, because as most SEOs, when we write content, it's not always the most fun task, and often getting it done is more important than getting it done well. So
yeah, finding someone who can do it well is extremely difficult, especially when you're talking about the persuasion, emotion, and all those types of things that are really important to copywriting. A hook, like hugely important to your time on site.
Yeah, we actually had Tim Brown as well. So he's not necessarily that well known yet, but he was talking about creating epic content, and he really took it a step further than just a typical skyscraper. So a bit towards what you were mentioning earlier with huge articles and so on. But they did a lot of stuff, a lot of graphics and so on, but they really did some epic piece of content and had input from really big guys. I think he managed to get a input in an article from Seth Godin and stuff. So some really high level stuff that was definitely worth a watch as well. So good one. Let's right. So I've hired a lot of writers over the years, and I get content, but I really never managed to get epic content. I've hired from the likes of ProBlogger and so on. How do I do it? How do I step it up? How do I get epic content?
I actually, when I look for a writer, go to LinkedIn, because you can see where that person is written. They often have portfolios of themselves. You can filter down like really easily. You can get a sense of how much they charge based on, what university, or do they have a university, or how long have they been, in doing this. So you can actually find a lot of really interesting stuff through LinkedIn. Primarily North American writers, but I mean, for the types of stuff that I do, that's usually who I'm going after. So it may be different if you're looking for like a Filipino writer or something, but that's been my experience for LinkedIn.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a big LinkedIn fanboy. I've never actually used it a ton for this purpose specifically, so that's very interesting. How do you go around? Like, do you just search writer, or do you have any particular?
Well, I was thinking about things today, and like the only paid marketing that I've done this year is actually just having a LinkedIn Premium subscription. And the filters are amazing on it. You can filter down to anything you want, right? So you can find freelance writers with X amount of experience in this location. Like it's easy, and they're just right there, and just email them. Usually most people, if they're in the business, they're going to be, happy to write for you. I would just kind of have, like a project ready, either if it's a big project or steady monthly, like, hey, I've got 10,000 words a month that I need, that's decent for a writer to take on, as long as you're not asking them to write, this one random, guide for you that's not going to be a whole lot in it for them. You'll get good responses.
I think
I like.
You also have to consider when you're hiring writers, what's your process and your training like? You can get someone that's reasonably good at writing, but what really makes a difference between good writing and epic writing? So you've got the hold of the person from LinkedIn, but they know jack shit about SEO. That's where you, as the business owner or whatever you are, the manager or whatever you are, have to give these people the training and guidance they need, whether that be Surfer SEO, POP, or any of these other tools, and how to understand keyword research, and then do things like what Steve's saying, taking two articles and mashing them together, or various other bits and bobs. So I think the big part is you need to educate these people. You're not going to get someone who's a superstar SEO writer writing for you for $20 or $30. They'll be they'll be business owners themselves if they were that good. So I think if you're looking to get cost-effective stuff, make sure that your training and SOPs are on point, because otherwise you're always just going to have half-hearted shit-ass content, and just doesn't work as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I think one of the ways around it, if you don't have the SOP and all that stuff, is to develop a proper brief for each article that you're writing. And basically, that can be as simple as just the heading structure, right? So what are H1s, H2s, H3s? Like, are there, if you're using Surfer, the keywords are going to be right on the right-hand side for that person to use anyway. You just need to give them guidance so that they're spending less time on trying to think, what am I going to write about, versus having it all there, and then their time can be spent and how do I make it more persuasive? How do I make it, fit the tone or whatever it is, right? So take that element out of it, take the research element out of it for them to as much as you can with the brief, and let them focus on the other important stuff.
Yeah.
Love that one. So yeah, that's fantastic. Next one. I used to love writing. Now I really hate it. How do I find the love again? I don't know if that's the right question for any of you guys, but
I hate writing as well, and I've never found the love for it. So I'm not Steve. Any ideas?
I still do love it. I guess it's just not about forcing it, right? Finding the time that you're relaxed, you don't feel like you've got a deadline, you're inspired, you take notes, right? Like if you're writing on something, don't just sit there and give yourself every single task, the research, the writing, the editing, all in one go. Come and sit down at your desk with something already in your mind that you want to do, mull it over in your head before, and then when you're finally sitting down to write it, you've got a head start, and you're not sitting there kind of feeling interrupted about the whole thing.
Okay. So I have another backlink question. So basically it says backlinks, PBNs, guest posts, niche edits. What's the best?
That's a hard one. I mean, that really is a hard one. I mean, you want to use as much of a mixed strategy as you possibly can. For me personally, I think PBNs, niche edits, and various other parts, are kind of the icing on the cake. I wouldn't focus my efforts, solely on, any one strategy. What I'd be doing is trying to get some guest posts, build up some domain authority, potentially then, get some niche edits. But do I even point my niche edits direct to my money website? Probably not. Point them to a guest post. Use a tiered link building structure. Try and safeguard your money website. So depending on the level of competition, and depending what the competition do, would really determine what I do, whether it be just guest posts, whether it be guest posts in PR, whether it be a tiered link building structure, or if I'm going to start pulling out expired domains, PBNs, and all of that kind of stuff. So there's no one particular tactic that I think you should use. I always try and mix it up as much as I possibly can and do probably less of the shady shit and maybe leave the shady shit to the end just as icing on the cake. Try and do as much of the good stuff as you possibly can at the start.
Yeah, I thought you only did white hat, Craig, but
yeah, just hope that Google are going to reward your evergreen content with some links from wherever they're meant to automatically come from.
Any thoughts from you on that one, Steve?
Yeah, and it kind of goes without saying, but just whatever you're doing, just make sure that linking article is relevant to the page that you're pointing it to. Don't just get a link don't just get like a homepage PBN link because you can get a homepage PBN link. Go after the ones that are going to have relevance to you. Try and know what you're getting before you buy it. And in most cases, if you can do that, and go for diversity.
Cool. Now the next one that's a good question. So what's the best way to learn to do a technical audit?
I mean, for me, if you are a rookie, if I was a rookie and I didn't know what a technical audit was and what was in there, I would just the first thing I would do, if Steve Toft's that guy, then the first thing I'm going to do is ring him up and get him to do an audit and then try and copy it from there on in. So, get who you believe is the best at technical audits. Now, I'm not sure who's the best in the industry. You've got guys like, Dan Cutteridge and there's a whole bunch of really, guys that go into some weird ass stuff, including server logs and various other bits and bobs. What you want to do is make sure that the guy's just not running a screaming frog report or a SEMRush audit. There's a lot more to a technical audit than one tool giving you all the information. What is even a technical SEO audit? Are you looking at speed issues? Is it on-page issues? Is it something else? Bot issues? Google can't
structure, right? You could, yeah. Sorry, Craig. I was just gonna say you could totally ignore the site structure and everything. If your e-commerce site doesn't have proper category pages or product pages and aren't grouped together in the right way, you could pass the technical SEO audit with flying colors. But if you didn't actually address it, like the strategy then you're missing out on the most important piece. So for me, it's very much similar to what Craig said. Is like I try and learn from the best. I'm fortunate that I come from sort of a corporate background where I've worked with some amazing technical SEOs in person, sitting beside that person all day at a desk and absorbed as much of their processes as I can. And that's what I use, right? And I still actually use a couple of people that I used to work with to do audits and stuff like that. So, they're actually better at it than me, and, I learn from them. So just try and leverage if something, you don't have to do everything yourself too, right? So you can basically, I would say once you're at a point where you're doing enough high level client work, or you've got your own affiliate sites, go find the best person to do that, because there's going to be people better at it than you. And then, like Craig said, if you want to steal their processes or copy what they're doing, then you've paid for it, and you can incorporate that stuff into your own business. But I would always go to seeing try and find the best people and learn from them.
Do you guys know of any good resources? And if you are getting started and you have to even figuring out what to do with a SEMRush audit or an audit from AHREFS or something, any good resources for getting started with that?
I've
Probably
got
both blogs.
Yeah, loads of people get blogs. I've got a bunch of videos on them on my YouTube channel as well. So if you want to do an audit, I've done ran an audit on my own website and explained what the faults mean and how that whole process goes together. But as I say, there's a lot more to it than that. It's not about SEMRush. It could be site speed, it could be server logs, whatever. What really is an audit? Could be an internal link audit for all. So there's different tools for different things, and yeah.
Whatever tool you're using, they're going to have a guide on it, right? Like Screaming Frog's website tells you how to do every single last thing you can do with Screaming Frog, right? So, I mean, go and read about it from the source. I guarantee you AHREFS has like a huge power page on SEO audits, right? So does SEMRush, right? So like I would lean towards those things. Another guy I like to follow is Andy Drinkwater. Like, I think he's a fantastic technical SEO. Go check out his site. I think it's iqseo.com. He's got a bunch of great guides. There's so many places, but I would, if you're using a specific tool, either SiteBulb or Screaming Frog, go pour through their site. They're going to have a lot of information there for you.
Cool. Excellent, guys. I think we have more than passed the hour, so thank you guys very much for your participation and sharing your wealth of knowledge. And thank you for supporting that event as well.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure.
Good to meet you.
You too, Steve.
And just for the audience, we actually have an extra live today at 8 p.m. EST, and that is with Kyle Roof and Ted. And basically, they're going to talk about SEO testing live. So that's going to be exciting as well. So if you're still awake at the time, or if you're in the US and it's not too late, you have the chance to join that as well. So thank you very much, guys.
All right, take care.